Hey, so I'm making a quick workflow video just because someone was asking me in my Facebook DMs. I was like, why don't I just make a new one of these? Because my workflow has changed a little bit since the last time I made one. And I didn't want to send him a link to stuff that I don't really do anymore. So this is Sabrina. It says Antonio on here because I forgot to change the file naming, but ignore that. I'm just going to really quick show you what I do in Digital Photo Professional and in Photoshop. I don't tether into Lightroom anymore just because this is faster, and I love the colors because this is Canon's software. So with the Canon camera, the colors just look a little bit better. They don't look great on the recording capture compared to what it does on like my calibrated monitor, but just imagine the colors are perfect on this. So all I do is on capture, I have it set down here to give me like a good sharpening. Like it's really, really nice and sharp. That's more than I would usually move it in the old days. So it right out of the gate, it looks really crisp the way that I want that to look. And then I add just a bit of saturation right here. That's it. That's all I do in Digital Photo Professional. The color temperature is set in camera, but if it wasn't, I would set it to 4700 because of the lights that I'm using. I would do that there, and then I take it over into Photoshop. Go up here, Tools, transfer to Photoshop. This is slow. This is like the biggest hump in using this software. Exporting images is not fast, which is why I don't use it for bulk stuff. But it's great when you're doing just a handful of headshots. You can export the whole group into TIFFs and then go do something for another minute or two and something else or work on some other photos. But it's just not fast yet. But the quality is so good that I don't mind that it's a little bit slower. Anyway, I've already done that part. I already put it in Photoshop so that you don't have to wait. This isn't going to be relevant to everybody because not everybody's going to have lights in the frame. But the first thing I do is take the lights out of the frame, just lasso these, lasso, 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 edit, content aware fill. We get in the content aware fill window. I brush out the parts I don't want it to read. It's pretty good at not reading this stuff anyway, but just to be on the safe side, I'm like, don't reference the hair because I don't want it to fill in with extra hair and stuff over here. Click OK, and it'll do its little dance. It usually takes a second or two to get it done, especially probably because I'm recording and have other windows and things going on. Oh, I didn't actually click it. Ha! Clicking it will help. It's really fast, actually. I forget how fast it is now. Then I merge those layers now because I'm done with that. I don't need that anymore. Shift Command E to merge. And then I've got a frequency separation action already set up, ready to go, that I downloaded from Flurn. If you don't know what frequency separation is and want to build your own action, look at my older video about building a frequency separation action. It's really easy to do. I'll hit play, blur skin texture, blah, blah, blah. I should put this in the window so you can actually see it. You can see this here now. That's good for that. And then I've got, yeah, continue. Now I've got these two different, the low frequency layer, which is just the color from the image, right? So it'll look really blurry or relatively blurry. You can zoom in so we can see how blurry it is. Because we're not showing texture, we're only showing color here. And that's with the texture, that's without it, right? And that's with texture with not color, right? That's this layer. Well, I gotta turn this off to really see it. Yeah, that's the texture, right? Cool. So I make a copy of the color layer and I do all of my adjustments here. Hit Command J to make that copy. Right, we need to be quite that close. Then we grab a mixer brush tool. Now she doesn't have a ton of wrinkles or stuff. I'm not going to do a whole lot here, but usually what I do is I sort of blend the edges of tonal transition, right? So there's a little bit of a tone change under the eyes, always at the cheeks and the forehead. Her makeup's a little bit yellow too, so we'll do some stuff with hue saturation on that as well. But usually I just grab a sample of the color that I want. It's like right here between the nose and the cheek. I really like the way that looks. And then I just very lightly brush, and you can probably barely see the difference as I'm brushing, but I'll do a before and after, once I'm done. Very lightly brush wherever there are highlights and stuff too. Do brush a little bit there. Brush a little bit here just because you tend to get a lot of different shadowing going on there. Brush a bit here where those tones are different. I'm doing a little more than most of the time just for the sake of the video, honestly. But yeah, and if I turn it off and on, you can see how that's smoothed out. a bit too much for my taste. So always bring the opacity down by about half, depending on the human, right? And then that gives us a nice sort of subtle adjustment. And for our texture, I use this for any sort of texture correction I need to make. So if there are blemishes or if there are hairs where I don't want there to be hairs, you can use the remove tool for this now in Photoshop, which is really cool. And you can get kind of willy-nilly with it. Like I can just brush over this area of hair. And it's mostly smart enough to do it pretty well. I have not tested this, so it may screw it up right now, but well, let's give it a look. And this tends to take a bit longer. Oh, never mind. That was fast. And that did a pretty good job. That did a pretty good job. I could leave this and I'd be okay with it. But I'm going to go in again and clean up the edges just a little bit because this is meticulous stuff that I like to do, right? And there's like fuzzies on the jacket and stuff that we can grab and get rid of. Let's do that kind of quick. And most of these, most people would not notice, but I do, so I take them out, right? And anywhere there are hairs, hold H to zoom out and get this little box and then let it go and let the mouse button go and you'll get right back to the zoom level you were in. So if you're like way in close, like this, not that you'd ever need to really be this close, but let's say you're this close and you need to move, just hold the H and click and you'll get this. And then wherever you let go of the box and let go of H, you'll be in that spot instead, which is really cool. I love that. Like this little hair, this is meticulous stuff. This little hair right here kind of goes away from the pattern of hair. So I'm going to take that out. It's a little distracting, right? Not a huge thing, but you know, why not? These little ones over here, not quite fit with the pattern. Not quite fitting, so we'll take those out. And the remove tool is great, and it's a lot faster than it was when I first released it too. And then like a couple of these hairs here, again, not a huge deal. If I didn't do this, she probably wouldn't notice, or wouldn't care. But I'm detailed, you know. The details are really important when you're this close up to somebody's face. And just grab all of these. I could probably do it all at once, honestly, and it would do a pretty good job of not like messing up her skin. Just highlight everything with the remove tool, everything I want to remove. And it's smart enough to know, oh, you're trying to take these hairs out, and it'll do that, hopefully without fucking up the skin. Yeah, that really didn't mess it up. That looks good. And like this little one down here, and I do it to the point where, like, if I zoom out and nothing bugs, I leave it alone. Like this right here, these little bits kind of bug, so I'm gonna take those out. Like they kind of, if I pay attention to it and it's not what I want to be paying attention to, I take it out. This right here, I don't know. It doesn't really bug me. I'll leave that. I don't mind that the hair is doing that there. The rest looks pretty darn good. That looks pretty darn good. I may want to play with the color that her makeup's giving, just because it's a little bit too yellow. A lot of people do that, and I'm like, ah, bummer. So make a hue saturation adjustment layer. Go there. I don't want it inside my frequency separation, so I take it outside of that. Close that. And let's check the yellows. And if you're not sure about the adjustment, just like really move it like crazy and see where you're affecting. Like, oh, that's a lot. I want it to go a little bit more towards red, so I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And then you can see the difference there, the before and after. And I'm digging that. But I'm going to Command I to hide that layer. Grab a regular brush, the brush tool, right? When you hit Command I, it paints black over the layer mask, so you can't see what the layer is doing, right? Paint white in areas where you want to reveal it. So I just want it where I feel like the makeup's just a bit too yellow for her actual tone. And I want regular brush, not mixer brush. Regular brush tool for that. Paint white where I want it to be a bit more red. Paint white where I want a bit more red. Right here, a little bit here. And I'm doing this fast for the video's sake. I'd usually do it a bit slower. But I think I'm doing a pretty decent job, so not bad. Zoom back out. I did that the wrong way, but I'll zoom back out the proper way next time. Before and after, right? Small change, very small change, but I think it blends with her real tone a little bit better that way. Last but not least, I think I'll take out this tiny bit of necklace over here. Whoop, misclick. This tiny bit of necklace right here that is just going to distract us because we're going to be like, what is that? Or not necklace, earring, because we don't really know what it is. Boom. And then, yeah, I think overall I'm liking the way this looks. I could punch up the highlight a little bit on her face. So I'll make a curves adjustment layer. I'll bring up the brightness of just a touch, just a little bit. And I'll do Command I again to black out that layer. Grab a regular brush tool again. Make sure I have white selected here. And I'll paint white where I want it to be brighter. I'll paint white where I want it to be a little bit brighter. And that's a bit too bright. So I'm gonna bring down the opacity just a little bit. 60% or so. That's good. That strengthens the highlight without like really messing up her tone. I dig that. I like this. I could go in and I could burn a little bit where there's shadow just to create more light fall off here, but I'm not gonna fuck with it. I like this the way it looks. So I just merge the layer, merge everything, and then save. That's it. That's how I do it.